Well, if you're watching on the stream, I think this is a first because, if you're watching on the stream, you see our buddy Chase Bunker is here. And if you look back, I guess it was 3 or 4 episodes now, you got to hear Chase and Justin. And now you get to hear Chase and me. Like this is we've done this before. Obviously, Chase has been on the show a bunch, but it kind of you get a little bit of the best of both worlds there, huh, bud?
I feel like, am I the ultimate six man? Am I Jamal Crawford?
You might be low key because I mean you have the distinction of because like obviously you and I know each other from Orlando originally, like a bunch of guests that we have on the show all the time, like we all kind of met in Orlando. But then
Yeah.
because you moved to Jacksonville, now you know Justin in real life too. Like a lot of our Orlando buds we have on the show, like shout out to our guy Nick Grenowitz who was on last week, like Nick, I know Nick, but Nick doesn't really know Justin like that. So Nick and Justin aren't going to link up where it's like you see Justin. I mean, shoot, you see Justin in real life more than I do at this point.
Yeah, like it's now we're getting to like the kind of the friendship where like I just walk into his office and and you can attest to this, Nick can attest to this, all of the Orlando regulars can attest to this, where I will just walk in and just say hot takes and then I leave. And
Yeah.
that's what I do essentially. Like I'm that guy at the office.
Hey, I mean, listen, Justin needs to hear that once in a while. I mean, one of the OG segments on the show, we haven't done that in a long, long time. I mean, you got to dig in the crates, but hot takes from Reddit was a thing for a long time. So, and obviously for you, Bunkers, burning hot take, but we're not going to fire off the hot take cannon too early though in the NBA. We are going to do some warm up jumpers here and just kind of talk about the state of the league. Again, when these early episodes in the season, we're only 8 games in, 9 games in roughly for a lot of these teams as of recording. I always find these episodes hard. I say that every year. It's like you don't want to jump off the cliff too much, but you start to be able to gauge the scene, get a little bit of more reactions right now. We're going to start in the West. Obviously, we've been saying it all season long, but that is the better conference these days. Oklahoma City 8-0 right now. Nothing like starting that title defense off on the right foot. The Spurs are 5-1. The Lakers are 6-2. Kind of the usual suspects here. Denver, Houston, both 4-2. Golden State 5-3. The Wolves are 4-3. Of course, they're playing without Ant right now, so only a few weeks there though. Thankfully, it's pretty mild. But kind of when you watch these West teams, has anybody jumped off the page for you so far?
I mean, the thing is with the West, I feel like normally you always know who's good, but you just don't know where in like the jumble they're going to be at. I think Oklahoma City being undefeated right now and winning by fairly significant margins for the most part, like there's no hangover. Like there was a perfect opportunity for them to just kind of have it go to their head, get a bit of an ego, but instead they're all still fairly grounded. They're also putting up, and it's essentially they're still continuing as if they just didn't have an off season. San Antonio being as high as they are, being only 5-1, is kind of surprising considering like even when Wemby was out there, they were still just kind of like on the fringe a little bit. Of course, they made like the Aaron Fox trade, so we never got to fully see that. So now all of that's kind of going off. But at the same time, like I wasn't sure where we would see Wemby take the jump, and because we don't even know if Wemby can jump because he's just freakishly tall. He doesn't
Just
need
glides,
to jump.
man.
He just glides. I'm pretty sure every time he dribbles, it's a travel because that's just how long his stride is. I don't know. That's pretty much it that stands out to me. Sixers are still looking great. Oh, not Sixers. The Lakers are still looking great. Sixers are good too. We don't need to bash them yet. I feel like what's funny is the Rockets are fairly quiet considering they made one of the big moves. And I feel like we're not hearing a lot about the Rockets considering like Oklahoma City. We're hearing more about the Spurs, of course, Lakers, the Lakers. Like they just traded for Kevin Durant. They're 4-2 right now. They still look really good, and we just don't hear about them.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because we talked about that a few weeks ago. Justin and I talked about that because Houston is one of those teams that, I mean, I'm really high on them. I think they're going to be in the mix to win the finals this year. Like Kevin Durant was the type of swing, they have a little bit of a setback early on with losing Fred VanVleet. Kind of have that question of like, who's going to play point guard? What is this going to look like? You mentioned Oklahoma City earlier with the continuity. There isn't as much with Houston. Like I know a lot of their young guys are together, but even look at Jabari Smith's now in a bigger role. They're going to need him to continue to step up. But there's already a lot of things like that they needed to build on, but with adding KD, I feel like there is just a little bit more of an adjustment. I think Houston's going to be fine for the record. Like I'm nowhere near worried about Houston right now. But the only fear you have if you have one is just like with the conference being so good, like, these early games now might bite you down the road when everything is going to be so separated. The question in the West is it's going to be too is like who's going to be bad? Like you mentioned the seedings, but it's like, is anybody going to fall off this year? So far it really hasn't been the usual suspects. I mean, Dallas is the 1, 2, and 5, a little bit of a rough start for them right now, but we're gonna see what happens in terms of that. The Spurs, yeah, the only bad news for the Spurs is the Dylan Harper, right? Like Dylan Harper is gonna miss a few weeks here now with the injury. So, number 2 overall pick, somebody that you're excited to see play minutes for them. But yeah, you have to be thrilled with the start that they've had so far.
Yeah, Dallas needs somebody who is really good at like European ball style and just like a really good score. If only they had that, I don't think they would have been in that position. It's a shame that none of them are on the market right now because, man, that would have been big for them. They probably could have taken them to the finals, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, it's a shame maybe, from Slovenia or something like that. But that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Would they have the number 1 overall pick? Would they have Cooper Flag right now? Who knows? Adam Silver would have pulled off his, we don't need to go down that hole again. I mean, Nick and I last week talked a little bit with Cooper Flag and his adjustment just to playing point guard. Like playing point guard in the NBA is hard. Like I do think there's a little bit of a learning curve there. The other thing with Dallas too is they're just missing their big men for the most part. Like Gafford has missed time and Derek Lively's out. I mean, there are a few things that are concerning, I guess, for sure. Klay Thompson hasn't exactly looked great to start the year. I mean, he's averaging a cool 8 points right now. Yeah, it's been a lot on AD. I mean, D'Lo's been playing a little bit of point for them as well, but yeah, their firepower. I mean, of course, not having Kyrie doesn't help either, but yeah, there's I don't know. It's a win now team, but with Cooper Flag in the mix, it is kind of a weird situation where you're trying to get him adjusted too. Like you're not, you know, people I think imagine when you see Cooper Flag and you put him in that starting lineup because of, how good he's projected to be long term. I think they go, "Oh, well, we're going to drop in the league and win immediately." Like that just doesn't happen with every rookie.
No, it doesn't.
And so to that token, I mean, rookie wise, I know everybody's already talking to about him versus Edgecombe. Like, we'll see what happens there. And VJ probably did take the early lead, to be honest. And I mean, again, that's the instant results thing, right? And a little bit too of the Sixers, coming out hot out of the gate. They've come back to earth here a little bit. A bit of a brutal loss to the Bulls the other night. Blew a big time lead there. In the second half, particularly the offense was miserable. But to that point, Chicago, one of the hot stories so far for the Eastern Conference. I mean, if we want to switch gears a little bit and go over there, 6-1 start. I don't know if anybody saw that coming. Josh Giddey, fresh off his restricted free agency deal, has been balling this season. Our guy Vooch still getting it done is right. I mean, he had the game winner against the Sixers the other night. I don't know. Do Chicago fans have a reason to believe finally? It's been a lot of mediocrity these last few years.
I feel like Chicago is always a team, and I'll use Justin's example because he always used to say this about the Magic. They're always a team that would always start off hot and then it would just kind of decline a little bit. But like, I didn't think they would be 6-1 hot. I think that is something that's still surprising. Like, I would have said maybe, oh yeah, they're 4-3. They're staying above 500. Oh, that's a shocker. No, like the fact that they are top of the East right now, they seem to be, I don't want to say firing on all cylinders, but like they seem to be working fairly well considering like they're always usually a play-in team. And I don't feel like they did anything drastic in the offseason either to warrant this kind of change.
No, not really. I mean, what are their big guys? You bring Kevin Herter in, you bring like a guy like Isaac Okoro in. That's like their bigger moves, if you will. I mean, a lot of these guys have been here for a little bit. I mean, Giddey, obviously they've had now for a second. Vooch has been there for a while. Dusamnu was drafted by them, like he's homegrown. You're right. The Bulls have always been good. It's that play-in, like the play-in has always been the ceiling. I will say again, going back to the Eastern Conference and just the state of it, like it's all pretty wide open right now. If this is going to be the year where you can get weird with it, like why not? And even with some of the teams, we'll talk about the Magic a little bit later, but Magic disappointing start, the Celtics and the Pacers dealing with attrition, and so they're struggling a bit as well. But it's still pretty wide open in this conference in the grand scheme of things. Who are you really putting your faith in this conference? Is there anybody so far in the East that you're putting your chips on and going, yeah, I'm still buying them as the favorites here?
I mean, it's tough because like I don't feel confident about Chicago. I definitely don't feel confident about Cleveland. I don't feel confident about Milwaukee. I think I even said it last season. I still like Philly because of Tyrese Maxey. When you get Joel Embiid back for like the 30 games or whatever, like he's still really good. And now that VJ Edgecombe pick is hitting already and is already paying you dividends. And so we don't know much about him. So which means like we can't say he has an injury history, unlike Embiid, which usually would halt your entire season. But now it's like, okay, you have Maxey, you know who he is. You have Jared. He's going to be, he's coming back. He'll be helping out the team. What is VJ's ceiling? If he's another scorer, then I don't think that Embiid roadblock, when all your scoring gets taken away, I don't think that's going to be as much of a detriment to the Sixers. So I think I kind of still have faith in them. But everybody else, it's like, I don't feel confident about any team in the East. I think you can literally spin a wheel of all the Eastern Conference teams, and you can make an argument of, yeah, that team might actually make it far in the East. And then also, you can make the same argument of, nah, that team's just not going to make it anywhere.
Yeah, right. And even when you get down to the play, and it gets even worse. Like we're talking about teams that are hanging on right now. I mean, Detroit, I think, is somebody that we expected to be in the mix, kind of picking up where they were last year. I think you have to be encouraged by that. Milwaukee's going to win games just off Giannis. Like Giannis alone will keep them in the mix. Miles Turner's played well so far in his adjustment there. Did you by chance catch any of his return to Indy the other night? Are you surprised he got booed as much as he did?
No, I'm not surprised. Like, no,
I'm not either.
This is the thing
I don't know why
sports.
He's surprised.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry. Are you not familiar with the concept of sports? Like, if I'm a Pacers fan and you leave to go to New York, that sucks. But okay. When you go to the rival, nah, man, you're getting booed. Like, that's every single sports entity. It's more than just basketball. It's baseball. It's football. It's every sport. If you go to a rival, you're gonna get the boos.
It's not even like it's a dead rivalry now at this point. Like there's some where maybe it's so uncompetitive that it doesn't get noticed as much, but it feels like in the Indy and Milwaukee rivalry has like kind of hit its apex these last few years. Mm-hmm. And like, here's the thing. I think Indy fans are going to cheer Miles Turner eventually. Like Miles Turner played over 10 years of his career there. He was a huge part of the team that just went to the finals last year. Like it's just, you're right. Like, man, you could have gone to any other franchise and I don't think anybody would have said a word, but it's like, man, you went to Milwaukee? Like, really? We got to see you in that uniform during, like, you're on the other side? Really? Mr. Pacer, Miles Turner? And Miles Turner's not, like, he was talking about a little bit. Like, he's not entirely wrong. Like, my guy fought through being in trade rumors every single year, basically. Like, it was nonstop with him being rumored to getting traded out of there, and he always did stay loyal. He wanted to be with the Pacers for a long time. The Bucks threw a ton of money at him. It also just got complicated too. Obviously, feels like it goes without saying, but like the Halliburton injury changed a lot in the timeline there. Like Miles Turner is older now at this point. Like he is 10 plus years into his NBA career. Like this Indy team is 1-6 right now. Like we knew as soon as Halliburton wasn't playing that this was unfortunately a lost season for them. And so that does make it a little weird right now, but yeah, you can't really you got to take it on the chin for at least one night. They gave you the tribute video still. It's not like they, this is not like LeBron going back to Cleveland in 2010 levels of hostility or anything, but it's like, yeah, no, Miles Turner's going to hear it for a little bit. He will eventually not hear it as long as he doesn't keep ragging on Indy all the time. But Indy fans are going to come around. It's not like he's Benedict Arnold there or something.
Yeah, it'll be like a year or something, probably, like when they'll probably get over that. But like he's complaining about always being in like the trade rumors. You know who was also in trade rumors all the time? George Hill. And you didn't see him complain about it.
No,
George
wait,
Hill
George
was
Hill got
always
traded. What
yeah,
do you
but
mean?
George Hill always gets traded. He's always the key centerpiece. You know what you don't do? See him complain.
Miles, they kept dangling him though. George, at least they followed through and they traded him and finished the deals. Like Miles Turner, I mean, it was all we. I feel like we spent at least 3 or 4 seasons when him and Sabonis were there talking about like, all right, which one of these guys is it going to be? It did feel like they chose right there. I mean, certainly. I mean, and shout out Sabonis. Sabonis is an excellent player, but like, man, you
Magic
talk about
legend.
the Halliburton return there. Like, you want to talk about springboard in that team getting a little further than they would have been, but. The Kings are notable this season for in all the wrong ways so far, and I'm just like, which like you look at this roster and you go, this was so predictable, but like, God, that's so unfortunate. It's just that roster makes absolutely no sense, and it's gonna get stripped down for parts, hopefully, but like, it is not a fun watch in the meantime.
I haven't watched them this season. How bad is it?
It just like imagine the Bulls because you've seen that when you watch it with Levine and DeMar. So like you already have a sample of what that looks like. And then
Okay.
throw
Yeah.
like Russell Westbrook and Dennis Schroeder into the mix. And you have a bunch of guys who all kind of need the ball in their hand. And there's only one basketball. And so you've just got then Sabonis in there as like the main facilitator at this point. And he's just kind of like running around with nothing to like it's bad, dude. Sabonis may ask out within like a month and a half.
And Malik Monk just signed that deal as well. And he's already just like having so much regrets already.
Well, he's had well, and Malik Monk too. It's just been injuries the last 2 years too. Like I feel like Malik Monk hasn't been healthy. Like he had the breakout years where he finally because Malik Monk's had an interesting career, right? Like he was the guy I loved out of college. Like we saw Malik
Yes.
Monk when he got drafted by Charlotte at Summer League, like way back in the day in Orlando. And dude, I was so high on Malik Monk. Like I thought this kid was gonna kill in the NBA right away. And it took about 4 or 5 years before that. Like, if anything, like his career was basically on life support on veteran minimums at the bottom of the bench. And then he broke out in that Lakers squad. And it's been a good run since. He had a great year that first year in Sacramento. He was phenomenal. Yeah, it feels like injuries have taken a lot of him too.
I wanted Malik Monk when I wanted the Magic to draft him instead of Jonathan Isaac, just because I liked him coming out of college as well.
Yeah.
I thought he was a really good scorer. And then assume go to Charlotte, like, well, there's talent wasted right there. That's what Charlotte's good at. It's just being a cesspool of wasting talent. And
Oh, that felt worse than just the Hornet. That clarify that's what the Hornets. That felt personal.
Oh yeah, like I mean, yeah, just the Hornets. I don't have anything against the whole city. I
I
haven't
was gonna
been
say,
there
I'm like,
yet.
I kind of like Charlotte. I'm not gonna lie. I've only been there once, but like, I kind of liked it.
I can't say anything about the city yet, but I will say the team has a tendency of wasting talent, and I'll never forgive them for wasting Kemba Walker's good years. But I think like I've noticed this, and I tell me if I'm wrong here. Other than the bona fide stars, so like Apollo coming out, kind of like players like that, you usually don't see probably the lesser tier players, like maybe the 7 to 10 mark, don't usually emerge until like their fourth or fifth year. And I think because we're so impatient as fans, and the NBA is also very impatient, like, all right, I want to see results now. We see a lot of talent being squandered, and there's not a lot of patience, because now we're seeing with Malik Monk after all these years.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think because there's such a wide pool of NBA talent, like internationally, and we say all the time on the show that it's like the amount of just pure talent in the NBA is probably more now than there's ever been at any point in history. So you're right. Like to that extent, I think you expect everybody to like break out right away. So here I'll pull up a draft. I'm pulling up a random draft right now. So I'm like 2023. So we'll do 2 years ago.
Okay.
And you start to look at some of these like 4 to 10 picks. So like it's I mean it's a mix like and some of them aren't stars necessarily, but they've broken out on their roles. So like the Thompson brothers have been great, obviously 4 and 5. I mean, you tell me where are you at right now with Anthony Black? Anthony Black was 6.
A lot of people are very high on the potential for Anthony Black. Like apparently from what I've heard, he was not involved with any trade talks. Like if anybody wanted him, they'd be like, no. Like they think that he's actually going to be their guy in the future.
Okay. Well, I mean, and that's good. I mean, hopefully, like you'll see if he, still some potential there. Again, he's very young. I mean, yeah, it's like, you got Koulibaly, you've got Jarris Walker, you got Taylor Hendricks. I mean, the other one who's super like made an impact right away is Cason Wallace. Like Cason Wallace for OKC has been great. I think he's put himself in a position to be a part of them for a long time. I mean, you look at the guys that got paid there, he's probably another one. I mean, he's been in their starting lineup at points. Yeah, let me look at 2022 real quick. Yeah, I mean, it does. There's guys that take a lot of time. So like, Matherin was 6. He's been good kind of right off the rip. Like Shaden Sharp's been up and down. Dyson Daniels has been good. He's broken out a little bit.
He had a good game against Orlando the other night, and that just made me angry. It's like, why is Dyson Daniels putting up 18 against you guys? We'll talk about that later.
He's a good player. Like he's one of those sneaky guys. But then I mean, look, then you got like at 12, you got Jalen Williams, and obviously Jalen Williams is a star, getting paid a max contract at OKC right now. So it's you're right, though. There aren't many. I mean, even with the number ones, I think that there are a lot of people where it takes, like Cade is the most recent example of that, where like Cade came in, he was good right away, but kind of took a little bit of a step back in year 2, and everybody was like getting ready to give up on the guy, and then in year 3 completely breaks out, and now has been the consistent superstar that we've expected him to be. Like not every number one pick is Wemby, essentially. Like not every number one pick is like. I'm trying to think of number ones who just came in right away. I mean, Blake Griffin, but he missed his first year. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was a little bit of a up and down. But
Paolo, I guess you could say that as well. I mean,
he was the certified rookie of the year for sure, and so that helps. So part of that is like, yeah, he did come out hot right at the rip. We're going to talk about Paolo later in the show, obviously. When Chase is on, we're going to talk about Magic. But like, there's been a lot of Paolo pieces out this week, and so we're going to get into that and a whole lot more here on the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Welcome everybody. My name is Kevin Rafuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Cousart. Justin is not here this week. Justin will be back next week, I think. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Like that's not even like, I love Justin. He's going to be back at some point. I promise, for real. We're working on it. But in the meantime, our guy Chase Bunker is here. Follow him on Twitter at Chase Bunker, WOKV 1045 in Jacksonville. Of course, my alma mater from back in the day as well. Always loved Duval. Like I said, Chase is the rare person who knows me and Justin in real life. So what a feat or something, I guess. Who knows?
Hooray?
Question mark. Shrug. Hooray.
I'm Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, right. Something like that. But leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Speaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, Spotify. I think I said that. Either way, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us. Watch the show on YouTube. You can see Chase's wonderful background this week. It's totally not because his room behind him is dirty or anything. It would never be that. We would never do something like that.
Because I'm depressed as a Magic fan. But we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah, like we said, we got some Ja Morant too to come back with after the break because he feels pretty depressed in Memphis right now. We're going to talk about if there's anything salvageable there. Of course, do some Ballin and Fallin as well. And now a word from our sponsors. So Ja Morant, you want to talk about guys that came into the league and made an impact right away. Like, one of the better rookie seasons we've seen was Ja Morant in Memphis. They go out, make huge playoff runs early. Potential is sky high. They're supposed to be the Western Conference team of the future. And instead, here we are now, where Ja Morant says that he no longer has joy playing for the franchise, which, welcome to the Ja Morant watch. We are officially on board here. The trade rumors have already started. Sacramento, Miami, and Houston are the teams that got mentioned early, though the Houston rumors have already been shot down. They pretty much said they're not interested right away. And, this is coming off where Memphis made their biggest shakeup in a while where, the core gets stale. They made a big move moving on from Desmond Bane, sending him to your Magic this past offseason. They fired Taylor Jenkins at the end of the year last year. So if anything, this is kind of like a double down, if you will, in Morant saying, hey, we got you. You're our guy. I mean, I don't know, man. You watch from Memphis. There's definitely no joy there right now because like I
No.
watched Ja Morant the other night. And, like it was alarming. It was lazy. I mean, he wasn't attacking. He was just jacking up jumpers. We know he's not traditionally been a good shooter. Like how did we get here? Is this do you feel like this is unsalvageable?
Oh, I anytime I think I see a disgruntled superstar, it's always unsalvageable. I don't think I'm trying to think of any instance when there's been a superstar who's been disgruntled and they just magically gets resolved. I think the only one I could think of, and this might get a little bit farther back, was maybe Paul Pierce and Boston, and then they made the trade. They did everything to go and get Garnett and Ray Allen,
Yeah.
and I think that was the only way that they kind of resolved that. But no, there isn't any way to resolve this. And here's the thing: like, Ja's not exactly a person to be in position to kind of request a trade, given not just his injury history, but also his off the court issues. Like he likes to be the guy who fires the guns during MIA's Paper Planes song. Yes, that's a very dated reference, but I don't care. It's still a banger. Like I saw this from Marcus Spears. He was talking about the trade value, and it said, quote, for the execs I talked to today say they really have no interest in trading for him. One said it was because of a combo of contract and off the court issues. Another suggested that if Ja is traded, it'll probably be a problem star for a problem star. I asked one current NBA coach if he would like to coach Ja Morant. He said, I'm not sure I'd want to. Like, that's
Yeah.
the thing that, and also, yeah, money's also a very big problem. But if you're trading a problem star for a problem star, you're still going to have like a problem. Like, we're not going to say that this change of scenery is going to just magically fix him. Like, do
No,
you think that he actually didn't want Taylor Jenkins to get fired?
I know. I definitely think he wanted Taylor Jenkins to get fired. And it was weird because it feels like they finally shook the offense up. Like the offense got stale. They were running a lot of pick and roll then with Taylor Jenkins. It felt like, if anything, that put Ja Morant in a situation to succeed, and then they just let him go. And I feel like that doesn't happen without there being some sort of disgruntledness behind the scenes, which I think is clearly coming to light now. You're right. It's the triple whammy, right? It's the triple whammy of he's had off the court, he's kind of declined a little bit, and part of that is due to injuries. I think he's been super injury prone. I mean, he only played 9 games in 23-24. He only played 50 last season, so that's a very real concern at this point. And for a guy like him, where the athleticism is such, like, that's Ja Morant's game, is that he's just a better athlete than everybody else, and he's able to do these freakish things that other guys aren't. Injuries are going to sap that quick. He's not a great shooter, and so there's a pretty valid concern about whether what his long term is. But yeah, it's the decline, it's the injuries, and it's the big contract. Then, like, Ja Morant's getting paid a ton of money. He's getting paid to be a bona fide number one right now, and he's just not playing for it. Like, Chase, he's shooting 13% from behind the arc this season. Like, that is disgusting. And I mean, that's for, again, he's not a great career 3-point shooter. Like, we're talking about 31% overall, but like, he got that up to 34% in his all-star year in 21 and 22. Like, it was 30 last year, but he was averaging 26 points a game. Like, he's down a full 6 or 7 points from 3 or 4 seasons ago. Like I said, his shooting percentage is down 3-point, but his overall is way down. I mean, his effective field goal percentage is 41% right now. Like, it's just gross. The advanced numbers aren't bailing him out. Like, they're pretty bad defensively. His assist numbers are down. I don't know. There's not a lot to like right now. And like you said, that combo then of the off the court, because like it's not even just the getting in trouble with the guns and the just nonsense like that. It's that, you're right. Like, with the Taylor Jenkins situation, and now with new coaches, it's like it feels like he's kind of blown the locker room up a little bit.
Yeah, and like the thing also I'm trying to figure out is, if Desmond Bane got you 2 players and 4 first rounders, what does Ja get you?
I don't know. I have no idea. And that's where I really just struggle to find out what his value is right now. Because obviously, like, if this is a few years ago, he gets you everything. Like, he will get you one of the higher deals on the market. Right now, given the history of everything and the way it's playing out so publicly, I don't know. I mean, Houston, like we said, that I get the intriguing part there because it's like they need a point guard so badly. Like it makes sense, but it's like if you're Houston, I'm not really giving up anything super of value there. Like I'm trying to win right now, and it's like, am I really going to add another variable into this locker room? Like we talk about the chemistry we're trying to build. Like, are we really going to do that as well? Sacramento, it feels like would be just a Sacramento move for them in the sense that it doesn't make sense. Like, what are you gonna? Like, what are you gonna trade them Zach LaVine or something like that? Like, I guess that works. That would make sense, but like that's just disgusting, and it doesn't feel like it fixes anything.
Zach LaVine, Sabonis, and somebody else. Like,
I don't know. The
because
one
that's the thing. Like, his contract just gets progressively worse. We're in
bad,
year
yeah,
3 of
bad.
a 5-year deal. Like, he's making just shy of 40 million this year. Next year he's making 42, and the year after that is gonna be 44. Like this right now. I mean, at the time, yeah, good contract. But now, with everything that's happened, that's not an easy contract to move.
Yeah, and I mean, look, he just got suspended for one game. Like he's arguing with his coach. He had 8 points the other night. Like it's not. I don't know what the team that intrigues me is going to be Miami because I feel like Miami is one of those where it's like, look, I don't want to sound like a Heat culture guy, but I'm going to say the Heat culture a little bit. Like I trust Spo to kind of have the juice a little bit to be like, yo, really? Are you gonna mess around here? Like you mess around here, you're just not gonna make it. Like that feels like a place where I could see some redemption a little bit. Like I don't know. I'm kind of it intrigues me at least, but it's a weird situation right now for sure.
I think of all the coaches that have the job security, it is Spo. I do. I think I've gone on the record and said I think Spo is probably the greatest coach in the NBA right now. After that
Yeah.
Pop's gone, Spo does have a way of establishing a culture and also just kind of revitalizing people. I mean, like there was a reason why Jimmy Butler went there, and Jimmy Butler's game seemed to also elevate when he was there. Like everybody's game does seem to elevate up to a certain point, and then all of a sudden it just goes crashing down. So it's one of those where he could go to the Heat and it's going to be great up until he wears out his welcome and it just goes downhill just like that. I do think of all the coaches, though, it would be a Miami move because Miami has been the, quote, big fish hunter for at least the past 5 years, and we haven't seen anything really. And so I think after a while, they might actually try to push moves because Pat Riley just does not like picks. We've kind of noticed that over the years is that he prefers to trade the picks rather than have draft capital.
Well,
So
Miami's just in a weird spot right now, too. Like this feels like a weird instance where you could push the chips in and it kind of makes sense. Like they're off to a good start this year, but like when you look at this roster, it's like you still got Bam there. You still got Tyler Hero, who's been pretty good this year. And like you've got a lot of young guys, but it's like what is the ceiling here? What are we building to? Like it feels like they're kind of running in place. And obviously, like this is their first little bit without Jimmy Butler. Like Jimmy Butler leaving certainly changes the trajectory there, but like this feels like a shrewd move for them where it's like you're right, it gives that team a little bit of juice. You get him to buy back in, and all of a sudden in a wide open Eastern Conference, I go, hey, why not? Like we certainly are going to give them the coaching edge every single time. I don't think they'd have to give up a ton of depth. Like that's the thing. Like, there's a world potentially where you keep Waquez, where you keep Jovic. Like I think it's that low right now. So
yeah, but like
do you give up draft capital? Do you move Norman Powell for him? Like,
I mean, that might be the thing is you might have to like sell high on Norman Powell right now because he's only been playing 4 games, but he still has looked good.
It was great last year too.
Yeah, and so that is the possibility. Like the thing about the Heat is that like they'll look at like very minor second round players and they'll just be like, no, we got to keep them. Like how there was like who was it that was kind of hindering the James Harden deal? There was one player that they're like, oh no, we like him, we can't move him. It was like I forget who it was. Carlton can be able to help us out with that probably. But like I don't think they'll want to move Jovic now because like, oh yeah, no, we love Jovic. We won't move him. Or let's find a random one now this year. Myron Gardner. We're gonna look at Myron Gardner and they're gonna be all one game that he's played, and they'll look at him and just go, yeah, but we really like him. We think we won't trade him. Like that's what they do. Also, Myron Gardner might be like the weird player that's just going to magically rise up because the Heat just have that every year.
They do. It's the factory. It's the culture
Yes,
factory where
we
they
called
find
it last
somebody.
year with Kal-El. Like I think we literally joked on the show like, oh yeah, it's gonna be. And I looked at the name Kal-El Ware. He's gonna be the next Heat star, and we got it right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they find some franchises are good at finding those diamonds in the rough.
I hate
It,
it.
it's interesting though with the Morant thing. It really is going to be one of the more intriguing markets, just because you're right. Like I have no idea how to project the value on Ja Morant right now, and I think there are franchises who take a swing, but like you're right, like those days again, multiple first rounders for Ja Morant. I think that is past us at this point. It's an interesting case in self-sabotage that I hope is doesn't keep to continue to trend in that direction because it has trended in all the wrong directions in Memphis these last few years. And you're right. Like I do think you start to, you move on. You've got Jaren Jackson locked up. Like if you decide to fully rebuild, he's a guy that still has a lot of value. It feels like they've got a few young guys in the system where they can maybe jumpstart it a little bit, but it's a cloud hanging over that franchise right now. It'll be interesting to see how long the situation continues to go on for. All right, who's balling, who's falling? Our NBA version of the stock market. We always like to start with the good before the bad. So Chase, you're the guest this week. I will start with you. Who's balling this week?
White people.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that has probably been the case for most of history. Yeah. If
Yes.
you want to call it that, I guess.
I should correct myself. White people in basketball. It just seems like right now we've been seeing like I say that Austin Reeves is just taking things to the next level, into which I will make I was way wrong on this guy apology, which I've said was white Carlos Arroyo. That's definitely not the case here.
That was crazy. He was way better. I mean, respect to Carlos, Puerto Rican baller, but yeah, I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
but like Jake LaRavia of also 2022 draft, he's been now slowly coming into his own, especially with the Lakers. I hate that I'm praising the Lakers. Like it just burns every fiber of my being, but they're finding scorers without LeBron, and I think that's the crazier part. And of course, also seeing Austin Reeves just take another leap. So white
Well,
people.
that's the thing with Austin Reeves is it's like Austin Reeves got the comparison, and because they're white too, right away to Caruso, and Caruso is such a huge part of them winning the title. And I think everybody expected Austin Reeves to just be that guy, but it's funny because obviously Caruso defensive menace. I think Austin Reeves has never quite been that, but it was like, all right, well, he's still good though. He's got a lot of upside. You're right. I just didn't think he had this offensive jump in him, frankly. Like he's been, and maybe part of it is some additional chemistry with Luka now, but yeah, he's been phenomenal for the Lakers so far this year, and it ups that core a little bit higher. Like the ceiling just feels pretty good. Like, and on top of it, with missing LeBron for part of it, you only had 4 games of LeBron so far. Like the fact that other guys on this roster have stepped up. Like Ayton looks comfortable. He looks the most motivated he's been in years. So, that these are good signs for the Lakers early on, and yes, partly due to the whites as well. Like Luka is going crazy.
I hope someone just clips that out of context. Partially good due to the whites as well.
Just the whites.
Yep,
It's always those damn whites. Balling for me this week is Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama, noted Star Wars fan, met Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, and Rosario Dawson as they're filming season 2 of Ahsoka. He posted on Twitter. I don't have the picture up here, obviously, on stream right now, but what I was most impressed about, because obviously, like, Wemby is one of the largest human beings on the planet. Dude, Hayden Christensen honestly didn't look that short next to Wemby. I was like, all right, Anakin, like, look at you, buddy.
First off, I'm glad that Hayden Christensen's getting the love again, because if a lot of people forget, he got a lot of hate when he was Anakin Skywalker. And do you mind if I tell you a Rosario Dawson story that also might be so terrible you might just delete this from the episode?
Do.
So when I was working in Orlando, I was working at a movie theater that also used to be the site for the Melbourne Independent Film Festival, and they would always bring in like a special guest of honor. One year was Patrick Warburton and all that. And so I said, who's the guest of honor going to be? And they were working on getting Rosario Dawson. Well, she was just on Conan, like not long after that, they were talking about it. And she said one of the things that was a turn on for her was Christopher Walken impressions. Well, me being the horny teen that I am, for an entire summer, worked on my Christopher Walken impression, where I was just like, Kevin, I tell you, wow. I mean, wow. Cowbell. Like I just kept saying cowbell, just like randomly. And so, in hopes that Rosario Dawson would maybe come to our humble, small town, even though it's rather large, of Melbourne, and also in an attempt to have her find me slightly attractive. And neither of that worked. She never came into town. All that year, all that training wasted.
You gotta
And
meet her one day, and you gotta at least do you gotta do it randomly. I feel like you have to at least you have to at least tell the story. I mean, there's a way to tell the story without being a psycho, obviously.
oh yeah,
you
there's gotta
have
be
to
a way.
toe the balance. Like there's also a way to tell that story where it goes terribly wrong. But I really thought that was gonna end with you at least met her somewhere along the way. It's like no, you were just trying.
No, just wasted that whole summer. The summer of 2007. Wasted.
Man, absolutely crazy. But all right, who is besides your Christopher Walken impression for Rosario Dawson, who is falling for you this week?
Kevin, I gotta tell you, for me, Orlando Magic, they're awful. They can't play defense. It's trash. It's like they somehow said defense. What's that? Wow, horrible. But in seriousness, what the hell? It's something that I've been talking with a lot of people. I was talking with Philip Rossman Reich, who writes for Locked On Magic. And after the Hawks loss, I just go, what the hell am I watching? I'm looking at a team that, mind you, the only roster moves that they did were trade for Desmond Bane and sign Tyus Jones. That's it. So it wasn't like it was a roster overhaul and they're trying to figure out their way. The thing that was the big shakeup was the coaching overhaul. They kept Mosley, obviously, but then they also brought in Joe Prunty. They also brought in God Shamgod, which were supposed to be helping us out. And instead, you have a clunky offense. Again, no one is scoring. And now, at least last year, no one would score, but they would at least grind you out on defense. We're not even getting that anymore. Like, teams are constantly putting up at least 120 on them. That's the worst part out of all of it. And so they've lost their identity. They look so dispirited right now. And I think that Paolo and Franz kind of need just like a coming to Jesus moment and just go, all right, how do we lead this team? What are we doing wrong? And throw in Jalen as well because he's an energy guy. And just say, right now, we look like crap. We should be where the Bulls are at right now. But instead, we're competing with the likes of Charlotte, which is awful to say the least.
Well, yeah, there's expectations. Like, I know I was only brought in Desmond Bane and only brought in Tyus Jones, but those are two moves that made a lot of sense for the Magic. I thought this was the next step of them. Bane was the piece where it says, hey, we're going for it. Like, there are people out there who picked the Magic to go to the finals this year with the Eastern Conference being so wide open. And like you mentioned, that continuity among their roster. Nick and I talked a little bit last week about the Magic's just lack of consistent bigs, and that's been part of the problem. For this week, for me, it's going to be the 3-point shooting. That's what I want to highlight too. You mentioned the defense a little bit, but they just can't hit the broadside of a barn right now. Desmond Bane is shooting 28% from beyond the arc. That would easily be a career low for Desmond Bane. Paolo's only shooting 24% from beyond the arc right now. That is just it's alarming. It's concerning and it's not sustainable. And I've seen a lot of we kind of alluded to this in the intro, but I've seen a lot of Paulo warning signs pieces about hey, we've projected this guy to be the next superstar. He's clearly a good NBA player. Did we jump off the cliff a little too early potentially? Has he maybe hit his peak? I feel like that's a little unfair at 23 years old, but I feel like we need a little more out of Paulo right now, right?
Right. Oh yeah. I think what we're still seeing him kind of settle for the mid-range jumper. And I feel like I want to see him, and he's been doing it a little bit more, but I want it a lot more. Paolo is a big guy and he needs to use his weight and just start attacking the rim. And he can shove off a lot of people. I think the other thing also is that he's getting a lot of double coverage. And so part of it is on Paolo, but also he's getting double covered and his supporting cast isn't getting it done. Franz at least gets a little bit of leniency because he will put up 20 something points, but everybody else around him just isn't doing anything. I don't know how to explain it. Mosley was probably kind of on the hot seat like going into the season, just because like, all right, we gave you all this. Like, I need to see what you're made of. But I think with Mike Malone now dangling out there, I think that seat got a lot hotter, and I don't think he's on a coaching staff anymore or anyway. So like he can be scooped up mid-season. So I am not by no means am I saying fire Mosley. I am not saying that. I am just saying that right now he is on the hot seat, and if they don't keep this or if they don't fix this, like he might be the next change that comes.
Yeah, I thought he even got a little hot towards the end of last year, but it felt like that would have been premature. But that's, again, going back to the weight of expectations. Unfortunately, I think Jamal Mosley is going to be a part of that. Did a lot right his first year, but if they continue to disappoint when they've upped it, like you said, with big names out there, it's going to start to get, we're not hot yet, but just 8 games in, 3-5, we're definitely going to get a little warm. And as if we store towards All-Star break, if they're trending down more the play-in position where they are now in a weak conference like this, yeah, I do think you may start to see some buzz out there a little bit.
And not to mention the fact that they also have lost twice to the Hawks, and so even in like in a divisional matchup, like that's already hurting you as well.
It is. Well, and they got crushed by the Hawks the other night on national television.
Have.
Like, yeah, it was brutal. And I mean, you saw Bane get thrown out of that game too. I think he saw a little bit of the frustration start to boil over. So, it's definitely, it's keeping an eye on and not in a good way. All right, falling for me this week is Walker Kessler, who's going to undergo season-ending surgery. He's got a torn labrum in his left shoulder. This is brutal. Because Kessler, like a good start to the season. I mean, he was averaging 14 and 10, 24 years old. But he's going to be he's a restricted free agent at the end of the year. So like Walker Kessler's in a contract here. He's playing for money. He's a guy who has had a pretty good start to his NBA career. Somebody who I think in Utah, they're probably keeping an eye on long term. I don't know if this changes anything. Again, it's a, minor setback here. I still think Walker Kessler's a good player, but he was in line for a potentially large payday. And you wonder if this doesn't, blunt that a little bit there.
Yeah, it depends on how they'll work things over there, but usually when you see a season-ending injury, they'll usually like use that against them, especially in a contract year. So hopefully it doesn't affect him a lot financially. But I think it just sucks like anybody that young, and especially in a contract year as well, when he was probably going to make a good amount of money this year or the next year. It just sucks hearing.
Yeah, Jazz have been one of the, feel-good stories to start the year so far, too. Like, obviously hasn't been a lot of fun to talk about in Utah Jazz basketball recently. They're off to a good start here. So, definitely a little bit of a bummer there already. Not a bummer having Chase on the podcast this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Driving Dish NBA podcast. Again, follow Chase on Twitter, @ChaseBunker. You can listen to him on WOKV 104.5 in Jacksonville. Chase, you got a lot of other stuff to plug with their conversations. I mean, you talked to Leonard Skinner this week. You did stand up for Donnell Rawlings a few weeks ago. Where can the people listen to all this?
So you can find my all my interviews over at WOKV.com under Chase Chats, where you see a whole bunch of interviews. I'll give you a bit of a sneak preview. We just interviewed Peter Billingsley, so he'll be coming out about 2 weeks or so. He's from Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Just booked Macaulay Culkin. I don't know when that will actually drop, but we'll be interviewing him next week. So that'll be fun. Him and I share the same birthday, by the way. So that'll be a fun conversation for 30 seconds, and that's about it. Donnell Rawlings, talked with him. That interview was a lot of fun. And I think the worst part about it was the hour that we talked afterward that I couldn't record.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, this isn't part of the interview, but it was like one of the funniest segments, like, or funniest things that we've ever done. And it ultimately somehow ended up with me opening for him at the Comedy Zone. And for the first time in 3 years doing stand-up comedy. It's a wild story, and I know we're running out of time. So maybe for next time when Justin has me on.
I'm just bummed there's no footage, and I get why there's not, but I'm selfishly disappointed that there's no footage more than anything. But yes, definitely check that out. I've got breaking podcast news because Justin actually just texted me back. And it's bad news if you're a fan of Justin. I don't think he's going to be on next episode, so stay tuned for who I'm going to spin the wheel of guests. We'll see who we have next week. I swear, Justin and I are still like it's just that's tough, man, with schedules sometimes. Like you just know how it
Yeah.
goes. Anybody who are adults knows how it is. Justin also has a child, so like kind of being a dad takes precedent here just a little bit. But thank you,
So will
everybody.
I be back next week? Find out in the next episode.
You might be. I got to spin the wheel. You mentioned Carlton talking about the Heat a little bit. I was like, I may spin and hit Carlton next week. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm kind of putting him on blast early, being like, I'm telling Carlton he's going to come on the pod next week before I even see if he's available. But yeah, we may have to stay tuned for that. Yeah, we'll catch you guys next time.